we're going to give a couple of minutes for everyone else to trickle in. But in the meantime, welcome. We know that this is evening for a lot of you and it's after work. And we definitely appreciate you spending your time with us here. Tonight is going to be a really fun session. We have Dr. Emily Letran, who is one of my favorite people in dentistry. I know she and I had a conversation last week that was supposed to be a prep call about this, and we almost ended up talking for about an hour. So we promise we will end on time. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely a conversation that we are both very passionate about. And so I'm excited to hear what she has to share with all of you tonight. If you wouldn't mind dropping in the chat where you are coming from, we kind of love to know where everybody's at. I know I myself am generally from Austin, Texas, but at the moment I'm coming to you from Northeast Pennsylvania in the Wilkes-Barre-Scranton area. And yes, I have heard of The Office, which is what I get asked every time I say Scranton, Pennsylvania. Oh, have you ever watched the show? Yes, I've watched the show The Office.
Vermont.
Yes, all of the swag is in the airport.
Okay, so we've just covered the entire United States. Vermont on one side of the United States and California on the other.
Love it. I know Anne
Vermont.
is here.
Who do you work for in Vermont? Are you working with Dr. Farid?
It's Dr. Sakard is from Vermont.
No.
Bristol.
Hamzadeh. Hamzadeh. Yeah, Farid Hamzadeh. Yeah, yay. Nice to have you, Jenna.
Wonderful. Welcome. Yeah, we are. We're covering the all time zones at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. We may have a couple of people join us later. I think our recording is ready to go. And so, yeah, let's go ahead and kick this off. Let's see. So I've had the honor to host a lot of these webinars this last year, which means I get to interview a lot of amazing people. Like I said, Dr. Emily is one of my favorite humans in dentistry, and so I'm really excited to get to introduce her now. Between running multiple dental practices, coaching goal-oriented entrepreneurs, and holding the title of World's Best Mom to her 3 kids, one of whom she gifted a dental practice, just kind of throwing that in there because really world's best mom, if everybody thinks that they are, but she really gets to claim the title when she gifts one of them a dental practice. Just saying. Today's speaker knows a thing or two about high performance. She came to the US as a refugee, found her calling in dentistry, and never looked back, unless it was to write about one of her best-selling books or from a TEDx stage. So whether she is live on stage in front of hundreds or working one-on-one to help doctors get unstuck, she brings the same energy, grit, and unstoppable optimism. Please join me in welcoming coffee lover, clarity coach, and queen of getting things done, Dr. Emily Letran.
Thank you so much, Kara, and thank you, Charles, for giving me this opportunity. It's my absolute pleasure to be on. Sorry about the backdrop. That's a little bit more tech challenge for me last minute. But I wanted to stand out.
You're on brand. Every time I see you at a conference, you are in your red.
So, and excited to see you here. I know you were traveling earlier today and making the time. We are so busy, but I tell you, when it's important, we make the time. And when we are here to serve, we'll make the time to serve.
Absolutely. And I had my mobile setup. If I had to do this coming from the airport lounge, it would have happened.
Yes, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, so glad to have you here tonight. Tell us a little about what your experience is and what you're wanting to share with us tonight. I know this is one of the top topics in dentistry. I think it has been probably for the last several decades, but certainly post-pandemic, certainly in 2025 with all the craziness going on. How are we finding and keeping team members and motivating them to productivity?
Yes, so just a little bit about me. I've been very honored and blessed to have multiple dental practices, multi-specialty group practices, because I believe that's a quick way to grow. Obviously, there's more challenging because you got to manage the people, right? But I chose that path and I've been very, very blessed. And, with all of what's going on right now, what I like to do is just remind people to go back to the basics, which is you're working with humans, right? You're working with the people who have emotions. You working with people who have baggage, who doesn't have baggage, right? You're working with people who have they have those ambition, they love to do certain things, they have certain drives, and they need the connection. So sometimes when we are busy in our business, we don't think about, the little connections. A lot of time what people preach is make sure you take care of your patient, right? Make sure the patients are happy and this and that. And for me, the very first thing I think we should all look at, well, first of all, we should look at ourselves and make sure that we're doing a good job with ourselves being the best boss or the best manager. And the next thing should be your team. Are your team all together? Um, do they love what they do? And if they don't, is it because they are in the wrong seat on the bus? Is it because of a lack of training? Or is it because they actually don't care? Right? So I think for today, what we're planning to talk about are the three ways to help your employees make more money for you.
And if any of you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'd also love to know if you are a practice leader currently, or if you are a team member, kind of what demographic we're talking to tonight. I know we have several practice leaders here, but we may also have coaches and consultants. But where do you live in dentistry? So that we might be able to best speak to you. So if you could drop that in the chat, that would be helpful. We have some operations manager, we have practice coach and leader. Wonderful. I know Anne is a longtime career hygienist and coach and author and speaker. We have team members. Perfect. And so what would you say to team members that are on this call? So not knowing that not everybody here is necessarily going to be in a position of authority, but everybody can lead at every level. What would you share with team members as to how this would be valuable for them or for the culture that they're part of?
Yes, so I'm sure everybody have heard of the word KPI, right? Key performance indicators. And I like to emphasize that to me, those are the numbers that everybody have to know. I don't care if you are sterilization assistant, or you're the receptionist, or you're the dental assistant, or you're just stocking in the back. Everybody have to know those numbers. And the reason is those are the numbers that would drive the business. So I need all the team, everybody in the team, meaning the doctor, right? Everybody need to understand why they're working. Obviously, we run a business, so we need to make a profit. And these numbers are what indicate whether or not we're doing good, are we making a profit or not. And I'm a very simple person. So let's just say we only need a few KPIs, right? I know there are systems out there that will give you graphs and pie charts and all that. Focus on the number of new patients, focus on the number of referrals, focus on your production number, and your collection number. And I believe as a leader in the office, whether you're the doctor or you're the doctor or you're the office manager, I believe you should share the numbers. Your team should know if you have a gigantic loan, and you have to make a payment every month. I think they should know that. Maybe you don't tell them the exact number, but you should tell them that. If you have a big payment for your equipment, they should know that too. They should know that every time you invest in a large equipment for the office, it is for them, right? And all together, we're gonna pay it back. Obviously, the production should pay it back. So being transparent with the KPIs are very, very, very important. And what I like to say, and I like to encourage everybody, if your doctors are not doing this or your managers are not doing this, just bring this up. How can we help improve these KPIs? You come with the mentality that you want to help, right? Not just I want to know the number, but I want to help how to improve the number. So I'll give you an example. If you have two receptionists, two people in the front, maybe one person is responsible for the number of new patients, and the other person is responsible for referral, right? Because if you say, okay, you both are responsible for this, we don't know who's responsible for who. And then when it comes time to recognize people for what they do, it's going to be a little harder to tell. So the more you can distinguish, the better. And it's a personal preference. Like that's my personal preference, right? Somebody is going to be responsible for new patients. Somebody is going to be responsible for referrals. Maybe you want somebody to be responsible for recall, right? Making sure that the recall schedule is booked so your hygienist is busy. So explaining the KPIs to the team, giving KPI to each team member, and advising them, teaching them, helping them understand how they can improve that. So, for example, if it's a new patient, right, you want to improve on the number of new patients, make sure you answer every darn phone call because each one of them could be a potential new patient, right? You don't want to do the call log and, oh, we missed 20 calls or whatever. And of those 20 calls, maybe five of them are new patient. And this is especially true when you have a marketing company, right? And then they running a Facebook ads or they do social media posts, and you have a tracking phone number, so they know exactly where these patients are coming in. They could only see those numbers if they are potential new patients, right? Because maybe you're running it as a new patient special. So now you can easily look at that and say, Jane, so let's say the person in the front is Jane. These are the calls that come from that marketing campaign, and it looked like we missed 20% of the call. Well, you know what? Maybe it's they call in the evening, right? Then do we have somebody or an automation, or maybe it's forwarded to somebody's cell phone so they can still take care of those phone calls? So first, they need to understand what are the KPIs that we want to focus on. Secondly, how are they going to be able to improve on the KPIs? Now, if they are doing pretty good, how are they going to go up, up level those KPI numbers? So I think as a boss, as a leader, I think work is more fun when you can always challenge people, making them stretch a little bit, and it makes you different from another office where everybody just come in, oh, we're going to do the same thing, right? What are the numbers? Oh, it's kind of around there. Well, what nobody get excited when we're doing the average number. We should get excited when we do more. So understanding the KPI, understand how they can improve it, and then giving the staff, the team, multiple ways to increase those KPIs.
So I have a question on that, but first I just want to say I love what you're talking about transparency. I work with a lot of practice leaders, some who've been in practice, 10, 20 years. Oftentimes I tend to be working with newer practice leaders who have just acquired or started a practice. And that's one of their biggest concerns is that transparency around the numbers. Oh, I don't want my team to know that because they're going to think that I'm taking so much money home, and then they're going to ask for a raise whenever they see that I'm taking this much money home. I'm like, but you have to give them some level of transparency, some idea of what the numbers are. You can't expect them to have this ownership mentality and to own their area of expertise and to own the things that you've assigned them to be accountable for, those KPIs that they're accountable for, if you're not sharing what those numbers look like, if they can't celebrate the wins and feel the losses. And so I love that that's really, it sounds like it's one of your number one things is setting up those KPIs and being transparent with the team. I also love what you said about the having their specific areas of accountability and that not everybody at the front has the same job description. I see that way too frequently where it's just, well, we're all responsible for that. If the phone doesn't get answered, if this person's on the phone, this person does it. I'm like, that's good. We need that. But I always like to break out the difference between accountability and responsibility, that there may be things that everyone's responsible for. Maybe everyone's responsible for making sure the phone gets answered, but who's accountable for it? Who gets in trouble when it doesn't get done?
Right, right. And it's a that's where the teamwork comes in, right? So if the lady in the front is busy and the phone rang after four times, well, somebody in the back just answer. And that's where I think the training, I'm a big believer in cross training, right? Anyone in the office should be able to answer the phone, get the name, get the phone number, get a short message, and then give it to the correct person to handle that. So we know things are handled. It's really not that hard to answer the phone. I mean, look at all your staff, everybody's on the phone all the time. And everyone know how to answer the phone. We just need to answer the office phone, right? And make sure that that's taken care of.
Well, and to use another example of something that they might not necessarily be cross-trained on, but they have a shared responsibility. I was in a coaching conversation with one of the practice leaders, an office manager, and she was describing a situation where a patient had not signed a treatment plan and they were basically losing money on a couple of crowns, and the buck kept getting passed where the person who is supposed to be taking that the whatever I don't know what it's called, but whatever from the insurance company that says this is how much we're going to cover, that goes to the the patient to see that for the treatment plan for them to sign, that didn't happen. But the assistant also didn't make sure that that was done. The associate didn't make sure that they had a signed financial agreement before they started the work, and so everybody was technically responsible, but the person who was actually, it was their job to take that from the insurance company and put it in the patient file was that billing coordinator, and that didn't get done. And so you can have areas of accountability and everybody still be responsible for making sure things get accomplished, but who gets in trouble whenever it doesn't get done? That's the person who's accountable. So I like having that balance, especially with your admin team members, because there can just be so many different ways things get divided. And it's not to say you can't have multiple people that have an area of accountability that's shared, but the clearer you can be about what their role really is with those very clear job descriptions, with very clear conversations and coaching conversations, I feel like that does give you the ability to lead in that way, that you can use those KPIs and really hold people accountable for what their area of responsibility is.
Yeah, and I mean it to me it's almost like when, let's say if I'm taking out a tooth, right? Well, whoever take out that tooth is ultimately responsible, right? For that treatment. When you're doing something that we call irreversible in dentistry, right? You're gonna prep 6 teeth for veneer, you're gonna take out a tooth, you're gonna place an implant. Just pause for 5 seconds and look at the assistant and say, is this pay? Right? And I hold the associate doctor responsible. Just because you're only an associate doctor, you should still look at the collection number, making sure if you're going to do a big treatment plan, you're going to start on something, just make sure that it's paid, right? And it could be, I understand it could be a difference between, oh, oops, it wasn't paid. Now we have to have that conversation and you're going to lose another 10 minutes. But that's protecting the practice. And that's, to me, that's the owner mentality. The owner mentality is actually partly watching the money. And if I'm not in the office and the office is running, I can be watching all the time. The office manager may be talking to, to do a treatment plan, or she's doing something else. So everybody along that chain, it's just a matter of just checking, right? Like I personally collect upfront. So when the patient comes to the back, it should already been handled. Sometimes the patient's in the chair, you explain the treatment, and the patient wants to start right now, then yes, the patient wasn't in the front. We didn't collect it in the front. But if we make it into a habit, well, hey team, before you start treatment, can you please just, I don't know, look at the ledger, check something, right? To make sure that everything is paid. I think the doctor overall would be happier. I understand what you say, the written down responsibilities. I think in a busy day, those lines could be blurred,
Sure.
and we just pick up for each other as long as we
Absolutely.
make that day successful.
Absolutely. The question I had for you was on setting the goal and challenging the team. How would you, as a leader, as a longtime multi-decade leader, balance giving your team the challenge with not constantly moving the goalposts? Because that's one of the things that I will hear as feedback where, oh, our team made goal last month. They've made it for the last 2 months, and so we're gonna stretch it now. We're gonna keep moving it, and then the team is struggling to actually hit that goal, and maybe they have a couple of months that they don't, and they feel really burned out because every time they reach one goal, the doctor wants to move it. And mind you, in a startup practice or something that's a little bit newer and really in that high growth mode, that might happen more frequently because you are growing month over month more so than once you get to that nice, stable, happy place that we'd all hope to be. But how do you balance that whenever you say we want to challenge the team, but we don't want them to feel like they're constantly having the goalposts move every time they hit a goal?
Well, I'm one of those big fan of bonuses, right? So just like you say, and I understand, well, you keep moving the goal. I think it should be set very clearly, and I don't think it should be changed every month. So we make it very simple example, right? Let's say we have 10 new patients a month, right? And my goal is to grow 20%, right? So we look at average last year, we had 10 patients a month, or the last 6 months or whatever, right? So we have 10 patients a month. Let's say the goal for this year, I like the year better than month, right? Let's say the goal for this year is going to grow 20%, right? So every month we like to have 12 patients, right? 12 new patients because that's a 20%. Well, that's just the new goal, right? The bonus is when you have 13 patients, which is one more, right? So now you're growing a little bit more.
Mhm.
Then if you want to award the team on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, you just look at those 3 months. I mean, for me, I like to look at the average, right? So let's say the average first quarter, because if you have a dip in one month and then the next month you pick it up, it's more fair. I don't
I
like
like
it
the
when
rolling
people
3 month.
say, right, yeah, okay, well, this month it doesn't look like we're going to have any new patient. And then next month's like, hey, we're getting a bonus, right?
Well,
So
or the doctor decided to take a week or two of vacation, or we closed for Christmas, or we were in September, as we traditionally have.
that's why
Yeah.
we have associates, right? So
Well,
we never close. No, just kidding. So we account for that, right? And so that's one thing. The other thing is I like to set a goal for the year also, right? Meaning, so let's just say we're supposed to have, for the bonus, we want to have 13 patient a month, new patient. Now you multiply by a year, then you have another price. Hey, if we get to this, we are all going to, I don't know, uh, what is that famous street in New Orleans?
oh, Bourbon Street.
Oh, yeah, let's all go to Bourbon Street. I'm just making this up, right? So
HR over here is saying that might not be the best idea depending on the time of year, but you do
no,
you.
no, no, no. But this is I'm just gonna take you there, and you're on your own after 7 p.m. Okay. So, but my point is, you set a goal that is fun, but that one is for the year. So what if they're missing? Okay, we have 2 months where we only did the 12 new patients. We didn't get to 13 new patients. And maybe the summer we're going to do a contest, and we'll get to that in a moment. So there are going to be certain things that make drive that spurt, right, for the staff. And that's why I said earlier, you got to give them the means, you got to give them the tools so they can achieve that goal. If you're not doing anything and you just, we're gonna ask each patient who come in for referral 5 times, it sometimes it won't work anymore. And you kind of lose the magic. So mix things up and make it fun, make it fair.
So
I
you're not
always
moving the goalpost. You're setting them enough leeway to be able to move it themselves and to challenge themselves
Yeah,
and
and if
stretch.
you think about it, if we have done it for 12 months, chances are we actually could do it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that so if next year if you move it, but then the price get bigger, right? Something get better. Um, then I think let's talk about bonus a little bit. There are some doctors who don't like bonuses, and they say, oh, because then you do that, and then associates start overdiagnosing and whatever, staff get pushy or whatever. It's all obviously you can't really teach people ethics. You kind of come with ethics.
You can
But
set the example of
exactly what I was gonna
what
say,
you expect for your team.
you set that boundaries,
Yeah.
right? And you train them on how to talk, right? On how to present a treatment plan or sell a case, whatever you want to do. But then when you give the bonus, right? When I give the bonus, I know I already got my money, right? Because that's the thing with some doctor is, okay, it's time to come to give the bonus, but I don't want to give them $1,000 or whatever it is. Well, if you gave them $1,000, you have already collected 10,000 or whatever the number is that you give the staff. So you have to have that. Well, again, I'm one of those people. I get very picky when it's just all talk, no action, right? This abundance mindset that sometimes people talk about, and then when it's time to give, they just can't give. And when you set that kind of example, when you're have the abundant mindset and you're generous, your staff become generous too. Maybe they didn't start out that way, but they're going to be that way, and then the patients can feel it. This is the office that, hey, maybe this month you come in and something happened. Um, this happened like several years ago when economy is down, and I actually have moms who come in and tell us, I can't make the ortho payment this month.
Mhm.
Well, just wait that month. Just move on, right? Just take care of the kid. But that's a patient that you will never lose.
Oh yeah,
And
the one that you treated well. They remember that.
right, right, right. So when people understand the numbers, when people understand how they get bonus, how they, the incentive and how you set it up. And again, what I want to say is you have to be fair, right? If you keep on moving things, and so the staff go, well, what's the point?
Or if you go back on it, because I've heard that story a
Right.
number of times too, where we set it and then we realize that, oh, that's actually going to result in an X number per person, and I didn't expect it to be that high. Well, I'm going to make sure we change the bonus plan this month retroactively because I don't feel like I
Right.
want to give my team $500 a piece or $1,000 a piece or whatever it ends up being. That's way more than what they
Right.
expected. And I'm like, but they made
Right.
you this much more money. But
Exactly. And that's why each person, if you can, just have one person be responsible for one number. So it's not going to be, because I heard this motto a long time ago. The office manager get the most, right? Because the office manager is responsible for the collection. I don't get it. There's no collection unless there's the work. There's the assistant in the back. There's a person doing sterilization. There's a person who answers the phone nonstop. Everybody, every and then, I used to go, okay, we're just gonna divide evenly, right? And then of course you have the slacker. So maybe
yep.
you don't want to give the slacker
As
that.
I like to incentivize based on the behavior you are trying to
Yes,
achieve. Like,
yes.
what is it that you're trying to accomplish here? And so, yes, I'm not a huge fan of the let's just give everybody percentage of collection bonuses because,
Right.
yes, that is one factor. Even though we're all a team and we all contribute to it,
Hmm.
you will have people who will, ride the coattails of everyone else who's doing the work, just like that group
Right.
project in high school. We all know
Yeah.
who the hard workers were there.
Right,
But it
right.
also doesn't always incentivize anything as far as behavior. You hit the
Hmm.
goal, but it starts becoming an expected part, and they don't get that intrinsic motivation, that excitement that comes from actually
Hmm.
achieving something. Um,
And also, I just want to add one more thing. And when you talk about these things, if you stay with the KPI and the numbers, there's no emotion in there, right? It doesn't sound like I like Kara better, so it looks like she put in a lot of time, etc. No, this is Kara number, this is her bonus, this is your number,
that's fair.
this is your bonus. And it just help you manage things so much better when you base on facts.
Agreed. So that
Hmm.
was your number 1 point, correct? What is your number 2? You said we have 3 things that we're doing to help incentivize, or
Hmm.
was the bonus number 2?
The bonus was number two.
Bonus was
The
number 2.
bonus,
Okay,
yeah, the bonus
perfect.
was number two. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we've gotten through 2. Hey, we're right on time. Why don't we take a quick break and have Dr. Charles Moser, who is our co-founder of Dental Science Alliance. I know we've got some exciting things coming up this year, and I want to make sure he's got the opportunity to share that.
Oh yeah, Kara, thanks very much. And Emily, it's great to have you on finally.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you for coming, everyone, on this call. It's brought to you by the Dental Science Alliance. We are a coaching platform for everybody on the entire team, clinicians, all the way down, oh, not down, but dental assistants, team leaders, hygienists, because we have over 20 coaches in every lane imaginable. We have 2 or 3 of the greatest coaches on this call. I know that Janet Hagerman's on the call, Teresa Williams is on the call, Heather Leahy is on the call, and they are experts. So as a member of the Dental Science Alliance, you get to talk to the coach that you need to talk to. It's affordable and actionable. But what I really want to talk about is not so much to the dentists on this call, but to the operators on this call, because we will be co-hosting an event in Dallas this August. It's called the Dental Operations Symposium, and I'm going to put in the chat the link to the event, and it is only for operators. It is that we really are telling the dentist, stay home and send your operators, because we know the operators will speak much more freely and honestly if their bosses are not in the room. So,
What? Never.
what? Yeah, right. Extremely affordable. Santosh Patel, Dr. Catherine Alderman, and myself are putting on really what will be kind of a never done before, only for operators event Thursday and Friday, August 20th through the 22nd in Dallas. So, Kara, thank you very much. I'll throw it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited about that. Like, so you said, it's never been done before. I don't see a lot that are really for those leaders that may not be C-suite leaders. They may not be practice owners, but they're the ones that are really running a lot of the ops side, the COOs,
Hmm.
the director of ops, sometimes even regional managers. It kind of depends on your group practice or where you're at. But I don't see a lot of support for them. I often see that
Yeah.
they may have been office managers and done a spectacular job, but whenever you throw them into running multiple practices at this point, that's a whole other ballgame, whole other level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
know from an HR perspective, whenever you hit a certain number of employees, it becomes a whole other level. And so that's whenever I work with group practices, I end up helping either coach the office manager who's now HR or the HR manager who doesn't really know dental as well. And tends to be the struggle sometimes is that particular position that they're fantastic
Yep.
at what they do, but it's
Office managers,
different
regional
level.
managers, director of operations.
Yeah.
It'd be a lot of AI that we're going to talk about there, and really, it's going to be a changeable event for people, if that's a real word. Anyway, I'm going to hide
It
myself.
is a reward.
It is, yes,
Changeable? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how to spell it, but I'm pretty sure it's a reward.
There's a few A's and E's in there somewhere. Yeah, with Dr. Alderman, I know she is definitely hardcore AI right now, and
Mhm.
she's doing some amazing work with it. So I'm really excited to see what she has to bring for this particular position. I know a lot of like when we're talking about AI in dentistry, we're talking about how to take things off of the administrator's plates, how to how to do some more analytics with it, maybe have it answer phones for us when we're out for the weekend. But I love seeing what she's doing and the innovation she's helping create and helping drive. And so this will be really fantastic to see what she's doing for that particular position.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to our conversation. So, what is your third thing that you would recommend practices do, or wisdom that you can provide for helping your team feel incentivized or motivated to really continue to make more money, and not in the sense of it's a profit driven or we're all about money. It is all about the team and the patients, but in a world where everybody is contributing and everybody is winning, that is the end result. That's how we really measure how we're winning here.
Mm-hmm. Well,
The dollars that
yeah.
come through the door.
Yeah, well, we got people in the group here, and I want you to put a one in the chat if you have a lot of fun at work. So what the next thing, and one of my favorite, is to do contests, right? We just got to make dentistry fun. For example, you ask for a referral. Uh, it'd be, it become a little bit of a task sometime. What if you do a referral contest, right? So referral contest is when a patient refer one friend. We give them a little ticket. Okay, we put it in a jar. If they refer two friends, we give them 5 tickets, right? We put it in a jar, and we set the deadline in 30 days and 60 days, and we do a drawing. And please, please, please make it fun. Do not do a drawing and win an electric toothbrush. I'm a fan of giving things that are non-dental. Uh, I think way back when it was cheaper, we would give 4 tickets to go to Disneyland, right?
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
all all of a sudden it's a $500-600 gift, right? But think about it. What is the value of one new patient? I'm it better be more than $500-600. Should be a couple $1,000.
I was gonna
So
say, hopefully, if you retain them year over year for at least 5, 10 or so
right,
years.
right, right. But let's just say the value of your new patient, I think I read the average somewhere uh, across the board is maybe 2,000, right? So you're gonna give $500 to to get at least one new patient, which is worth 2,000, right? But I'm sure you run a contest, you're gonna have more than one new patient. And I'm for me, it's not like your patient cannot buy a ticket to Disneyland back then, right? Or whatever it is that you choose to do. It's just more fun when it comes from the dentist. And it is more fun when they know the value. Like if you give 4 tickets, they know it's several $100s, right? And so they understand that you're spending money on them. I think
I actually have a
what
chiropractor doing that right now. The
Mhm.
chiropractic location I go to, they're doing something like a flat screen TV, like a 70
Right.
some odd inch TV or whatever is like their referral.
Exactly. And it's very simple. You go and you buy the flat screen TV, because I've done that too. And you take the TV out, you just put the empty box there in the waiting room so people can knock it over or whatever. But they come in, they go, "What is this thing doing here?" And then you explain the contest. And you have a little sign that say win a flat screen TV. So one year we did get $1,000 to go to the cruise, right? We have a patient who run travel agency. So we whoever get the cruise, we're gonna pay 1,000 toward the cruise. So now you're supporting the patient in your office, And then you have all these people having fun, right? The staff can do the same thing. You can have a contest among your staff, right? You can have a contest with the patient, but you make it fun. And earlier when I say about, the big goal and maybe you take your team on a trip, I mean, patients will come in and your team is just talking about New Orleans, Hey, we're looking forward to go to Bourbon Street or whatever it is that you want to do. And now it's fun. And it's fun to your advantage, to the office advantage, because it's just a fun environment. That's much better than somebody come in and they talk about, I don't know, whatever's on social media, all the negative stuff. And of course, I mean, if they can talk about your dental treatment, that's better. But I think the other part of it is just talk about the contest. Hey, what's the next thing that Dr. Letran's going to do? I have a patient who come in reading our newsletter and say, where are you going next? And I go, what are you talking about? Well, last month you were doing what, like, so where are you going next? So people pay attention to the conversation that you have. If you go with your team to a trip somewhere, I take a picture, I put on a cheap frame. I put it on the wall. People walk by and say, where were you guys? What did you guys do? And then you have a conversation about that. So do contests, do team events. If you can include the patients, that's even better. And that's when you do things like a free dentistry day. I've had staff in tears, right? And they've been working for many years. They just in tears because they go, you're doing this for the patient. I've been working for a long time. I work for many offices. Nobody has ever done this. And this is actually one of the things that I emphasize to my coaching client. You want to stand out, it's not going to be how many years have whatever certificate. It's not going to be the school you go to. It's how much you give, how much fun you have. It
And
has,
how well you treat your team, how well you
yeah,
actually.
so it has nothing to do with your dentistry, and because they assume that you do good dentistry and you should be doing good dentistry, right? So creating a fun environment, and for me, one of the things is a contest is good. I personally, a goal for myself is when I walk into a room, I need to be able to make the patient laugh, right? So say a joke, say something dumb, like just make them laugh. Like, people are sitting there. I mean, I have patients sitting across and they go, "You guys are having too much fun over there," right? Because we're trying to get the patient to laugh over here. And but it's the key thing is intentional. I think that is very, very important because when you set that intention, whether it's, like my goal to make the patient laugh, whether it's the team to be funny or could be sarcastic, whatever your mode of action is, make it that and make it the personality of the office, right? If the doctor is cranky, well, don't take up that personality, take up something else. And I think you're gonna see a change. Yeah, I mean, patients come in, they feel that vibe, and hey, they always talk about going on a trip like that office, right?
Mhm.
And what does that mean? They will assume that you are successful. And of course, you should be successful. But when you talk positive thing, you bring that perception, patient understand all that, and they trust you more, right? These people are having fun. They're not cranky. They're not, harassing us and they're trying to sell us something. When you do it in that sense, I think patients feel that you're being genuine, that you actually want to give them certain thing, and and they're happy. I remember, I think it was maybe my 15-year anniversary or whatever. I sent several of our patients who've been with us for a long time a gift card, right? And it was a grocery card, like a RAF grocery card. So I just sent it to them, say, hey, thank you for being, our patient, part of our family. They didn't realize until they go to the supermarket that it's $200,
That's
right?
nice.
So my point, creating those element of surprise, right? And of course, the person who got $200 probably have paid me thousands of dollars, over the years. That's not what it's for. This is just a token of appreciation for being part of our family. And you know what? The people who usually have good ideas about this are going to be your staff. Ask them because they know what the patient's like. Or maybe
Oh
you're
yeah.
going to give a gift to so and so. That's what she wants, that's what her kid wants. And so the best thing is to give somebody something that they want, but they haven't gotten it, right? So I encourage team meetings to be about those kind of things. I think it's going to be much more fun.
I'd even extend that to what you do for your team,
Hmm.
and creating an atmosphere of fun. I'd expand upon that to say create that atmosphere of appreciation, of care, of I'm
Hmm.
putting my team first. And so sometimes I'll see the questions of, I want to bonus my team, or I wanted to do something nice for them. We had a really great month, or it's the end of the year. What should I do for my team? What are y'all doing for your team? And that's my number one is ask them what they want. Because for
Hmm.
some team members, you don't know their financial situation. They may be living paycheck to paycheck. And while we're all well intentioned with gifts and events and parties
Hmm.
and things, some of them just want the cash. And that makes
Right.
them feel cared for if you actually ask them that, listen to it, and maybe take that into consideration. It's not to say that you can't do the parties and the gifts and the fun, but sometimes it's what they want, and so ask them that question. They may all decide
Yeah.
they like when you're talking about doing contests and referrals, and maybe our thing is once we hit a certain number of reviews, we get to do something. What is that something? Well,
Hmm.
y'all decide. Do y'all want to do a spa day? Do you want to do a trip? What makes
Hmm.
sense for us? And what do we have to hit to be able to get that thing that we all want together? Some of them want like matching sneakers or matching, Kate Spade purses. I've had clients that have done
Right.
things like that. And with me being HR, I'm in the unique position that I do get to see a lot of what practice leaders are doing for their teams and what their benefits are. And some of my favorite clients are the ones that are doing what I call outside of the dental box
Hmm.
benefits for their team. The one of the first ones that I came across, I had a client that was like, "Hey, I'm already doing all of the typical things. What's something else that I could do?" And I'm like, "Ooh, let me do a little research and I'll get back to you." And so
Hmm.
I looked outside of dentistry and saw some of the other benefits that would maybe make sense but aren't typically done, or I hadn't heard them done in dentistry. And I presented them to him,
Hmm.
and the two that he came up with was we did a volunteer time off. He was already doing like a quarterly dental day for one of the local missions organizations, and he
Hmm.
had the patients come to his practice instead of him going there. Well, you can't have your team actually volunteer to do free dentistry or free work for free on what is effectively patients in the practice. And believe me, I checked this with State Department of Labor. You
Hmm.
can't do that. And so instead of saying, well, we'll just have to pay them for this time, we said, we're going to give you 32 hours a year of volunteer time. And you can use that for these 4 days that we did. They did one a quarter. You use it for those 4 days, or here's some parameters of other things you could use this for. And here's, some, if you're going to use it, this is what we're doing. It's not like a paid out benefit. It doesn't roll over, but you get up to 32 hours a year of paid volunteer time. And I thought that was amazing. He also did,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, he also did at the same time also implemented a vacation stipend where it was called paid vacation in some companies. And so employees might have PTO, but they can't always afford to actually go on
Hmm.
vacation. So depending on the longevity of the team, they got a certain amount of vacation expense reimbursement if they took an actual full week off and took a real vacation. He started this before the pandemic, kept it during the pandemic, and kept his team during the pandemic, and is still doing it
Hmm.
today. And it's one I
Yeah.
don't typically see, but I love
Yeah,
it.
I was gonna say about the volunteer. When I do my free dentistry day, the staff get paid, right? Um, the associate doctor, I tell the associate doctor, this is the day that we're doing this. So if you want to show up, you're working for free, right? Because you're the doctor, right? And what I see is the next year, some of the staff say, I don't want to get paid, right? The staff themselves, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is you rub that off on them, right? You never really tell them, hey, this is a volunteer thing. And if they want to do that, I'm pretty sure I honored it because that's what they want to do, right? Now we're not talking about HR right now. So anyway.
Well, but
But
there's
you know,
other ways to go about it. If they
yeah, yeah,
wanted to
yeah, right,
say
right.
maybe they want to donate their wages for that day to something where you still run it through
Mhm.
payroll, but then they have a link to the site that everyone donates to or something along
Yeah,
those lines.
no, no, I
Like there's
mean,
ways to do that.
yes, yes, you can also do that. I'm just
Hmm.
saying, when you do that, that's the
Yeah,
environment that
yeah.
you
It's that
create.
mentality
Yeah, the
that gets
mental
shared.
the
Yeah,
mentality. And again, you want people to show up to work and they're happy and they feel important, right? Sometimes your staff, they may be a member of the community and maybe they're not volunteering in church or temple or whatever, and they just
Hmm.
you know, a team member and they have their family. This is the way that you can make them feel big, right? And they are actually big, but you give them that opportunity to feel big. You give them the opportunity to give back. And I think those are things that we have the ability to do as a dental um, CEO or practice owner, and sometimes we don't think about it. We talk about touching um, patient's life. Well, you're touching your staff life, and I'll tell you a quick story that I think I shared with you before. I had a dental assistant who worked with me when I was an associate, and then I bought my first office. I brought her over, and then I expanded, and she worked with me for a while. Then she moved on because she wanted to only do ortho, full-time ortho. And one day she called me and she said, "Hey, I just bought a house." And I said, "Congratulations." You know, what did your mom say? Because I know she's very close to her mom. And she said, "I haven't told my mom. I'm calling you first." And I go, "Wow, that's really nice. Why?" you know? And she said, "Because you always tell us to grow, right? To get better. So now I'm office manager of an ortho office. I bought my house. I want to tell you first." Okay, I mean, besides being a teacher where you're influencing people every day, what other career do you have that opportunity? And do you actually take up that opportunity to make those changes, to influence people? And I think we're so blessed to be able to do that.
Now, what if you have somebody on your team that just doesn't have that mindset, doesn't share those values with you, and they don't like the contest thing. They just want to show up, get paid, go home. They do the work, they do it well enough, but they're just not into the fun or into the contests or those types of things. Did you ever have anybody like that on your team? Or what would you do if you had a doctor that was trying to really shift their culture and create this culture of fun and appreciation and care, and
Mhm.
they were struggling with the team members who just didn't share that vision?
Well, I think you have to have respect for individuality, right? I remember I had a team member one time. She is Jehovah Witness, I think, and she hated us doing Halloween dress up, right? Because that's not the thing. And and she works in the front, so here they go. They're gonna put on the spiders and the webs and whatever. And we just want to be respectful. Hey, we do this. You're not part of that. Just smile for the patient,
Yeah.
right? And you don't participate. I learned a long time ago that if you have, employee A, B, and C, if they are from C, they will never move to A. If they are B, they may not move to A. So you have to make the decision. This is where you got to put on your big pants or whatever you call it, right? And you decide if this person is good enough to keep in the team because this is a solid person. They're gonna do their 9 to 6 or 9 to 5. They don't miss work or whatever. They don't want to go to the next level. Have that conversation. Where's the difference between the values, right? Where's the ambition? 'Cause yes, I agree. Some people don't have that ambition. They don't want to do that. I learned that too. Like you're trying to pull your team up, but they don't want to go up. They only want to go to here. So there's also a saying that the same team that is with you when you're at a 500,000 may not be the same team when you're at a million. So also be very frank with them. You know what? At this level, I need you to do this. But if it's not a match, then maybe we should part way. But I think it's something where you have to communicate. And I think for me, I don't remember the last time I fired somebody. I think the person just leave. They just they just feel that this is not a fit. I'm not
Let
happy
them
here
opt out and
anymore.
find an opportunity that fits them
Yeah.
with their
Yeah.
goals.
I'm not happy here. These people are crazy. And they
And
just
that's, I
want to
think
leave.
it's up to the leader to set that vision. I think whenever I
Yes.
ask somebody, what is your mission, vision, values, they give me the standard answer of it's our
Mm-hmm.
mission to be the number one dental practice in insert town here.
Right, right, right.
And our vision is to, and they can't really articulate what their vision truly is. I don't know that they've
Mm-hmm.
always sat and thought about it that way. But you have to have that clear vision for yourself of this is where I want to grow. I want us to
Mm-hmm.
be the team that has the newest equipment, that has the latest technology for our patients, and that are serving our community in that way. And I need people who align with that vision. I need people who are completely adaptable and flexible and are okay with change, that they're not going to be those resistant, lagging people that I just have to feel like I'm forcing them to want to. I want people who are excited about new technology. That's because that is my vision. This is the direction I want to go. And so if you really think about that as a leader of where you want to take your practice, and not just I want to be the #1 dental practice in insert town here, then you are better able to find team members who can align with that, because you can communicate it clearly to them and they have the opportunity to say, this is not a good fit for me, or yes, that's exciting, let's do it. I absolutely am on board with it. And you want those people, and those are the people that you want to take care of. Those are the people you want to reward and show how much you value them. Anytime I do a benefits plan with somebody, I almost never, it never fails, where they say, I don't know if I want to do this because I've had somebody take advantage of me. And I always tell them that we don't build benefits packages. We don't build rewards and bonus systems for the people that we don't want on our team. We build them for the people that we do want on our team, that we want to reward and value. And if you have somebody who is taking advantage of you, that's not the right person for your team. And we address that at that point. I have one that actually this last week, he's just acquired the practice. It's a fantastic practice. It's been, I think they've been like 20, 30 years at this point. It was a great transition. It was really like one of those unicorn perfect transitions that you just hear about and everybody thinks exists, but it's just this utopian thing. It was amazing.
and I want to make one note is I'm the product of a lot of learning, right? I've had coaches and work with consultants and everything. So I don't really expect every doctor when I'm saying, hey, give a bonus, and they can actually jump on it, right? Because they got to be the right mindset. And they got to be, that doctor need to understand the KPI. And like you said, if this doctor is going to take 2 weeks off and then he say, well, screw the numbers, right? Because I'm not there.
Right.
And
if you else is struggling saying we can't make production because you just took 2 weeks
because
off.
because you weren't there, right?
Yes.
So it takes a certain mindset. It takes a certain way to run the business. So I don't want, a team member here to go back and say, hey, doc, I think you're supposed to do this, because that may not happen. What you should do is invite the doctor to join Dental Science Alliance so he or she can talk to a couple of people and kind of get a different perspective, because it's all about that. I think these are all learned behavior, right? When you grow or you learn from somebody who is actually generous, you learn to be generous, right?
Yes.
One of the consultant I used to work with, you know how people make the list, the goal for the year? One of the goal has to be how much money are you going to give this year? And the first time I heard that, I was, huh? Hey, I go to the temple, I give money to the temple. Like, I don't calculate how much dentistry I give to the patient. I mean, we can easily pull up the number. But yeah, because then again, with intention, you intend to give this much, whether it's money, time, whatever it is, make that your intention and then your mindset, then you can actually effectively run the team better.
And I agree, having a coach that can act as that mirror for you, where they care about you, but they care about you enough to be bluntly honest that this is not really the mindset that's going to get you where you want to go, or that you need to do more of these things, that you're already kind of dabbling in it, but you really need to just completely jump in with both feet and go that direction, because that's what's going to take you where you want to go. And I agree, having those coaches, and it doesn't have to be a paid coach, it could just be a mentor. Like I said, the practice leader that I'm working with at the moment, that he just bought the practice like a month or two ago, from this fantastic mentor. One of the things that I'm just like blown away is when we're looking at their benefits, I have practices that will have a bereavement leave policy. Most of them are unpaid, or they say use your PTO. And he came back and said, honestly, I had a conversation with one of my team members, and she said, the idea of being forced to use my vacation to go bury my father, that's not a vacation. And so he's like, I want to do paid bereavement leave. I want it to be something that's above what their PTO is, that they don't have to use PTO for it. I want to give them 32 hours of bereavement leave per year, up to 32 hours per year. And I also want to include any family member as well as pets, dogs, cat, whatever, and even horse, I think, is actually on this list, because he has had that experience and he has worked with this generous mentality of a leader, and he sees his people as people, and what he would respect and value from a leader. And is seeing how he can be as best as he possibly can for the team that he is now leading. Since he's just acquired the practice. And I'm like, I have not seen a single practice that I've worked with do 32 hours of bereavement leave. And I don't know that I've seen any of them allow them to use bereavement leave for the death of a pet. And I'm like, that right there shows me just how generous he wants to be and how much he's really truly trying to value his team as humans that work in his practice, not as producers. And I feel like his team is going to be that productive team that brings in that money and wants to work hard for him because of that.
Yeah, because you need to lead with your heart, right? I don't care if you have the best HR manual. I mean, I do care, but you, you can have the best HR manual and somebody's going to come in and ask you for something that is not on the freaking manual, right? Then now what do? You follow your heart, right? What would you do for a friend if the friend had that request? So I'm one of those people that I tend to be flexible because I'm a by the Kobe index, I'm a quick start, so I bend rules and things like that. But again, it's your comfort zone. But sometimes if you know that you actually have been in this little box, then you know that you're not going to change it unless you learn, you know, with the experts, with other teams. When you go to meetings, like what Dr. Charles was saying, you know, go to this other meeting, send your operators there, let them have their own moment, right? You don't have to always overlook. This is how you develop people is you give them the tools so they can grow.
You invest in
And
them.
yeah, you invest in them. And I think that's the best thing that you could do for yourself, really, because being able to leverage other people's talent uh, is going to help you grow so much faster.
Absolutely, 100%. We are close to the top of our time. And so I definitely want to thank you for spending your evening with us, you as attendees, and thank you, Dr. Letran, for all of your information. Oh my goodness, so many gems. I love having conversations with you. We've been friends for several years now, and we always end up talking about something fun. We could probably have done this for twice as long and still been at the top of that time. I do want to hand it back over to Dr. Moser to close us out to see if there's anything else that you want to share. Let me go ahead and bring you back on with your spotlight too. Appreciate Dental Science Alliance and this opportunity that I have to be able to talk to amazing people like Dr. Emily Letran.
Yeah, you know, we're kind of growing this thing one dentist at a time, so to speak, and one coach at a time. And so we, of course, appreciate everybody's time. We know that there are things that you can do, and the fact that you chose to spend an hour with us, we definitely appreciate this. We do these webinars every month. We have a mastermind call every month, and we have, like I said, over 20 of the most amazing coaches, the two of which were leading this charge tonight, Dr. Emily Letran and Kara Kelly. I put some, I hope you guys got some of those freebies out of the chat. I dropped in a few things in there, and we hope that you will follow us on LinkedIn so that you'll find out when our next webinar is. I think, Kara, we're taking a little break, right?
Yes, we're taking a bit of a break for the summer and because of the summit. I believe we resume in September. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yes, September 4th, I believe.
Yep. But please, just like I said, follow us, follow me on LinkedIn and on Facebook, and you'll get more than you want, frankly. But that's how we get the word out now. So, Dr. Letran, from the deepest part of my heart, thank you so much for being a coach with us, and thank you so much for taking the time to prepare and give such an insightful talk tonight.
Thank you so much. It's always an honor and a pleasure to serve with the whole group.
Kara,